All right. This is Mike with Trike with Mike, Texas. I'm a veteran of the U.S. Navy, and sometimes I'll tell you a sea story. All right, hot bunking, hot racking, whatever you want to call it. From time to time, well, let's put it this way. On our boat, all of the time, there was a need to hot bunk. If we were going local, not too far away, we would usually still have hot bunkers. Usually, you're a new guy of the boat, E4 and below, you're not qualified, you're hot racking. Okay? You and the other non-quals are going to share a bed. So right off the bat, your normal stowage space for a bunk is underneath your bed. You got about this much space, the length of your bed. You lift it up, you can put stuff in there. Your clothes, mind you, any clothes you need for 6 months or more. You can do laundry, so usually weeks worth of clothes, uniforms, and then civilian clothes. Sometimes you're in port, and you got to store it in that space. Well, if you're hot bunking, now you've got half the space, and you got to share that with somebody else. And the reason they call it hot bunking is because you're on watch, then they come on to watch, and you get off of watch. And if you go to sleep, the bed's still warm or hot from when they were sleeping in it. So that's what hot bunking is. Now, if we were gone for a longer period of time and we brought other people on board, we would bring down extra racks and put them in the torpedo room. I think there was 10, there might have been 12. They weren't light, but they were the same size as the other racks, including the pan underneath for clothes. And we put them in the spaces down the torpedo room, some low, some up, high, and people slept down there, right next to the people who walk by all the time. And there's always lights on down there in the torpedo room, so it wasn't the ideal place to be. My very first deployment on our boat, I started out in the torpedo room. Or maybe I ended up there. I think me and another guy, we were hot bunking, and partway through, I think one of the racks came open in the torpedo room. I think somebody left for school or something. And so, and somebody else came on board. So I think the Cobb liked me. He moved me to my own rack in the torpedo room. I don't know how much of an upgrade that was. I went from a regular rack to a torpedo room rack, although you got more space in the torpedo room. The ceiling's not this close to your nose. You can actually roll over in the bunk. But either way, so I ended up that deployment down in the torpedo room, and then that was the last time I was ever in the torpedo room. After that, I got qualified, and the The Cobb assigns all this. The Cobb tried not to, if you were qualified, didn't matter if you were below E4, he tried not to hot rack you. There was enough non-quals that hot racked. And then once you're an E5, you're not hot racking, period. With our Cobb. So, in fact, you could pick your bunk to some extent. Once you were assigned a bunk, that was yours. And then if somebody else has a bunk and they leave the boat, then you just ask the Cobb. And of course, other people might ask the Cobb also. And then he's not going to tell you if you got it or not until you go out to sea again and your bunk assignments are listed. And that's when you know you've got the new rack. And then, we had a guy leave. I asked for his bunk. And Cobb just says, okay, we'll think about it. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, when we went out to sea, that's where my rack was. That's where, and he wouldn't switch it on you unless he told you he was going to switch it. But that's the deal with racks. So anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.